Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is cough. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we use this verb. The first way you might hear cough used is to mean to push air from the lungs, and generally you're making kind of a sudden, sharp sound with it. So I think for this particular verb, there's nothing better than a demonstration, right? Right? That's that idea, pushing air from the lungs to make a sound. A second way the verb cough is used is to refer to another sudden or harsh noise, but this time it's usually referring to the sound that an engine is making. And it might be a sign that maybe this engine isn't working so well. That is what's meant by that sign of malfunction. So, malfunctioning, not functioning well, or functioning badly. You should know that cough is a regular verb. To make the progressive form, all you need to do is add ing to form coughing. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by adding ed. Our base verb, cough, ends in an unvoiced F sound. And I know that might look strange to many people because we have a verb here ending in the letters OUGH. But that particular combination of letters can make about 8 different sounds in English, and one of those sounds is that sound of off, cough, off. Okay, so because this verb ends with a f sound, an unvoiced F sound, our past tense ending is going to make a T sound. Coughed, coughed. Okay. Now, I've got a list of phrasal verbs for us to look at next. And the only phrasal verb you're likely to hear is cough up. And this can have a number of different meanings. The first way cough up is used is connected to that first main definition we looked at. So if someone is coughing up something, they are forcing something out of either their throat or their lungs, and they're doing that through the act of coughing. An example of this might be, she's been coughing up phlegm all day. And if you don't know what phlegm is, I'll let you look it up. It's maybe not so pleasant, but all of our verbs this week are going to be about being sick, and actions connected to not feeling so well. So kind of, I've heard it called gunk that kind of builds up in this area or in your nose as well. Second way to use cough up is to mean to reluctantly hand over money or to hand over some possession. An example of this might be, we coughed up a lot of money to buy concessions at the amusement park, right? So many times when you go to stadiums, amusement parks, movie theaters, it's far more expensive to buy food and drink there. And in this particular sentence, someone is saying, like, I reluctantly bought food or drink at the amusement park. A third way to use cough up is to confess to something or to share information. An example of this might be, when she was arrested, she coughed up details on the group's plans to steal the jewelry. So here, a particular person shared information about a plot to do something illegal. Or another way, she confessed to planning a crime with others. Our last way to use cough up is used in connection to sports. And this phrasal verb gets used when one team loses possession of either a ball or a puck, depending on what the sport is. So, an example of this might be, the defenseman coughed up the puck right behind the net. So, this sentence is definitely referring to the sport of hockey, and it's describing one player was in control of the puck, but then lost that possession to the other team. Now, let's continue using our verb of the day, cough, in a couple different verb tenses. Today, let's practice the present progressive or the present continuous and the present perfect progressive or the present perfect continuous. Let's start with the present progressive. We use this verb tense to talk about an action that is in progress or something that is happening right now. To make a present progressive sentence, we need two parts. We need a present form of be, so that's going to be am, is, or are. And then our second part is the ing form of the verb. Let's look at an affirmative example. She is coughing to get your attention. Okay, so maybe you've been in a situation where you've seen someone do right, kind of uh, to try and get someone to look at or respond to another person. If you want to make a negative present progressive sentence, just insert not after your be verb. So this is going to come up with am not, and then that ing form of the verb is not, and the ing form, or are not, and the ing form. An example of this might be, we aren't coughing in a crowded elevator. Now, if you want to ask a yes or no question in the present progressive, you're going to start with the form of be, whichever form matches your subject, and the subject comes next, and then you're going to have the ing form of the verb. And here's our next example. Is he coughing up blood? So remember, this is forcing out of the lungs, right? That would be a really bad situation. But maybe someone is asking that question because they're on the phone with 911. Now let's take a look at the present perfect progressive. We're using this verb tense to talk about an action that started in the past and continues into the present. To make the present perfect progressive, we need three parts. We're going to start with have or has, then we're going to use been, that's the participle form of be, and then we'll use the ing form of the verb. You can see that in this example. That engine has been coughing every time it is started for over a year now. So we have this sort of repeated action again and again. So as you start the engine, it kind of, right, that idea, it just doesn't start smoothly. If you want to make a negative present perfect progressive sentence, just insert not after have or has. You might hear a contraction form used like hasn't or haven't. You can see that in the example. Our athletes haven't been coughing up the ball much this season. So maybe this is a coach talking about how their particular team has been doing, and they're not giving the ball to their opponents frequently. Finally, if you want to ask a yes or no question in the present perfect progressive, start with have or has, then you're going to have your subject, then we'll have been, and then the ing form of the verb. Here's another example. Has your child been coughing all week? This is a question you might hear from a nurse or a doctor as you call and try and make an appointment, or maybe even having a medical visit as they're trying to assess how long someone has been sick or how long they've had particular symptoms. Now, let's spend just a little time looking at some words that are related to our verb cough. And the first word we're going to look at is just the noun form of this word. So exact same spelling, exact same pronunciation. When the noun cough is used, it's referring to either an act of coughing or a respiratory condition that causes coughing. So either of those things. An example of that might be, how long has your child had a cough? This question is really pretty similar to that yes or no question that was asked earlier. So you might hear either one of these forms if you're talking again to a nurse or a doctor. Has your child been coughing for a long time or all week? How long has your child had a cough? So how long have they had this respiratory condition that makes them cough? Another related word is the noun cough drop. This is a medicated lozenge that you put in your mouth, and it might help stop coughing, or it might even make your throat less sore. So I thought it would be good to have a picture. To many people, this looks like candy, but again, it is a form of medicine. Um, I know some people can just take and take and take. It's probably not a great idea, but there are times where it's really unhelpful to have a cough. So, an example of cough drop in a sentence: have you been using any cough drops? Right? So, again, a question a nurse or a doctor might be asking to see if maybe you're not coughing in the office right now because you just had a cough drop in. Another related noun is cough syrup. Okay? This is a liquid form of medicine, and it can have one or two purposes, right? So it could be given to someone in order to help them stop coughing, or it could help sort of make the phlegm, the congestion they have, sort of come out. So, again, kind of different forms. And I've included another picture here just so you have kind of a mental image of cough syrup. So it looks liquid. It's usually like thicker than water or some other drink. And I think that's the connection to syrup, right? Something a little thicker in its consistency. An example of this noun in a sentence might be, I'm going to prescribe a cough syrup for you to take for 1 week. So, again, maybe this is something a doctor is saying to his or her patient, sort of giving them a plan of how they're going to treat this particular symptom. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.